In order to qualify for a medical marijuana card in states where it is legal, you must prove certain conditions. This can be anything from terminal cancer, multiple sclerosis, or in some states, back pain and anxiety. However, in many states where medical marijuana is legal, post-traumatic stress disorder doesn't qualify and is therefore not legally treatable with medical marijuana, even though it may be the only alternative for nearly 3 million veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars returning with PTSD. As studies are revealing, the much overused practice of prescribing opiate painkillers to treat those with PTSD returning from Iraq and Afghanistan is causing far more harm than good. Many veterans find the medication makes it impossible for them to concentrate, hold down a job, or focus in school. And without a decent treatment program for those veterans, the VA leaves them with medication that makes them unable to function or a viable treatment that could land them in jail.
So why isn't it considered something that
it's not considered a disease. It's not considered on the list. Slowly but surely, states like Maine are putting things on the ballot to allow for PTSD as a treatable way. It seems sort of silly to me because there are things on there that are so, it's like a little neck pain. I mean, anybody in California who's gotten a medical marijuana card knows that pretty much if you just, I can't sleep card.
Yeah.
And here you have guys with really serious problems that they're coming back with that aren't allowing them to function in society, and they have a viable treatment for it, and it's not open to them just because of how something is sort of put together on their list.
Is it because PTSD is something that the Veterans Administration doesn't want to acknowledge as something that is they have to treat a soldier for the rest of his life?
I think a lot of it comes down to that. How they treat PTSD when these guys return, the biggest one is just to give them opiate painkillers. Because usually there's some sort of physical pain involved also. There's usually an injury, it's not just the trauma. But they're giving guys this medication that doesn't actually treat the disorder. They're not giving them any counseling to also help on that side. It's a really slim margin of care for them. And to me, a lot of it has to do with the fact that they don't want to admit that how many people are coming back and how many young men and women are coming back severely disabled because of this. And the scary part is there was a study by a VA researcher had found that veterans with PTSD were nearly twice as likely to be prescribed opiates as those without mental health problems, which is really disturbing because opiates aren't meant to treat mental health problems.
Right, it's heroin in pill form.
Yeah, they were more likely to get multiple opiate painkillers, and they were more likely to get the highest doses. Overdoses were also incredibly common in that group. They're saying somewhere between over 30% of veterans coming back have a serious case of PTSD. And the rate now of accidental overdose of those opiates is twice that of the US population as a whole.
Right.
And then you have this alternative treatment, whatever you say, however you feel about medical marijuana and the legality of it, you have an alternative to help them. And it's really just the Veterans Association or somebody would stand up and say, you should do this. So there were two veterans who talked about how they had been treated with it. One, Christian Slater, not that one, said, quote, "When I smoke, it makes my brain slow down enough to deal with all of the shit out in the world. It helps me reach a balancing point. I've been on every drug they have out there, and none of them did what marijuana has done for me," end quote. And he talks about how it was easier for him to focus in class, that it helped with pain, it helped with the anxiety, it helps with all of the pieces of PTSD. But, how long do we have to go before you kind of, of all the people to keep weed from, like.
Well, I'm guessing they have. They don't need that. They can get around it. Anybody can get the prescriptions if they want to get it.
Oh yeah, you just don't tell them you have PTSD.
Right, but the thing is that the VA is doping these guys up with so much stuff that it's affecting their ability to really function better than they could.
They can't go to school, they can't go to work, and they can't get better because they're just drugged out on these opiates. Another Jeremiah Civil, who's another former veteran who's been using medical marijuana said, quote, "When I smoke pot, it takes care of my depression and anxiety. It makes it so I can go out in public. If someone tailgates me, I'm more likely to not give a fuck, and it doesn't make me zombie out," end quote. There it is. I can function. I don't have as many problems with anxiety. It helps with depression. It does all these things. I think it's time that we kind of take away let our ideas about pot go and understand that this could really be this could be very helpful for guys. And either way, whether it's marijuana or it's another alternative, we need to treat our veterans better, especially those with PTSD.